Depending on who you are, the €9 monthly public transportation ticket that Germany tested for 3 months this past summer was either a messy and clumsy attempt or a much appreciated break from the more expensive normal method of getting around in Germany. Frankly, I think I've heard more negative reviews than positive up to this point, most of which are about the frequent overcrowdedness and delayed and very often canceled routes. I saw that many €9 ticket users would sometimes get stranded somewhere and be forced to spend extra on either hotels or ended up taking the ICE train as a contingency method, which is, in many of their eyes, it defeated the whole purpose and idea of traveling cheap. While we're nearing 1 month from the expiration of the experiment, what do we even think of it? Well, looking back, if not anything, it made for an active summer. That's for damn sure. I know that many I associate with would not have even had the busy and eventful summer that they had hadn't it been for Germany's €9 ticket experiment. So was it a success or was it a fail? Will they do it again? And will it be as low as €9? I'm Christopher, and I hope you like the content enough to stick around. So the way I see it, whether this experiment is considered a success or a failure is going to be left up to whomever you're asking. So in this video, I'll just keep things coming from how I see them. And I lean on the side of it being a success, just with many undesirable occurrences. But I guess I choose to see it as a glass half full situation as opposed to a glass half empty situation. We have to keep in mind that this was more or less an experiment. So we have to grant at least a little understanding with some of those hang-ups and mishap situations that happen. I mean, I can't help but think that the Germans are way better at implementing new things for their people than how it ended up looking with the €9 ticket experiment. But as mentioned, experiment. Expect some kinks in the chain. Though at times it did look pretty damn bad. Sometimes I had to get a little creative if I wanted to make it home. And there was a time or two where even I didn't make it home. But that's just a smidge of my overall experience. Most of my experience is generally positive from this, and the pros greatly outweigh the cons at this point. Zum Beispiel. 1, my summer was way more active in Germany than it would have been. I had plans to travel outside of Germany this past summer, but changed those plans to take advantage of the €9 ticket only valid in Germany. 2, me and my daughter saw more of Germany at once than we ever seen in that same amount of time. Summer 2021, I think we took like 2 trips, 2 holidays, if I remember correctly. Summer 2022, with the €9 ticket, we were able to see more than 10 different places in Germany, 10 different locations. And so 3, I saw more friends in a condensed period than I had in a while throughout that same amount of time. And then 4, I saved a little bit more money than usual, while at the same time still enjoyed way more traveling. So surely you can see how this was a super win for me. One of the best summers I would assume many have had in the last 2 years, if you know what I'm saying. And so whichever side of the scale you find yourself on, it's my guess that everybody at least wants to know if this will happen again, and if so, when? Well, the last that I had heard is that the German Federal Transport Minister and all of his counterparts of the 16 German states were actually looking into a similar offer that might be sustainable over an even longer period of time. That's definitely good news to me personally. The summer was great, but imagine being able to capitalize this over the colder months as well. And for those that do a lot of vacationing and holidays in the winter, this could be beneficial for seeing more of Germany during that season. I'm not the biggest fan of bone-chilling cold, but truthfully, the winter can be quite beautiful in this country, especially in the south of Germany. And I know many folks that choose to visit during the winter months so that they can be present to see how magical the area looks when it's snowed over and when it has all of the spirit of the holidays moving through it. And that for some people is what Germany is. But as much as we want this to happen, we gotta remember that this has to be paid for from somewhere, and that not every region is as able to pay into it what any other given region can. States with less developed public transportation infrastructure are less likely to be for this if it means less money to even keep the trains and buses up and running. And I totally understand this. It doesn't even look like this will happen before 2023, and January is the only month in 2023 that I had even seen tossed around at all. To me, even that seems a bit too soon for a decision, but hey, I'm not the one that has to make that decision. I can only be glad that they're working on it. But the rather unfortunate bit of information, at least as far as I'm concerned, is that the ticket likely won't again be €9. The figures I had seen being tossed around was between €49 and like €69. That's still quite a deal compared to what you would get quoted on a normal basis. But once you go 9, anything else is like 9. Outside of those two, there was also an annual €365 ticket that was tossed around as a possibility, which that would be the best deal of the three, huh? With that one, hopefully you get like a plastic photo ID card or at least a laminated ticket. If you ask me, it's not a question if this can be done or even when. I think now they want to know how they can reduce money spent while running these promotions, or maybe even somehow become profitable on the other end. A few new things I learned about Germany after it was all over. First was that the country really wanted to help its citizens somehow with the sting of the fuel prices increasing and inflation and whatnot. This 9-euro ticket experiment definitely was not supposed to be the answer to it all, but they tried something, and it's that right there that I can get behind and appreciate. Next was that Germans really do actually love their railway system. Check this out. Thousands of people that actually own motor vehicles consciously chose to take public transportation instead during this time, once the tickets were dirt cheap. The reason I bring this up, and maybe it's still a little bit of the American in me, but if I had small babies or like 3+ littler kids, or even being a solo traveler with multiple little ones, I'm taking my personal vehicle. I felt so bad for some of the parents that traveled in the way that I just described, with a bunch of rambunctious little people hauling multiple bags and sometimes a pram too, all while worrying about trains filling up to where you'll have no seat, or maybe even your train getting canceled altogether. But they did it, and they did it a lot. I don't have those kinds of nerves. But I guess for them, it's all worth the 9 euros that they paid that month. The last thing I learned is that maybe the Germans can relax after all. They pulled off something like this, even though they are big on bureaucracy. There was no strenuous application system, no long list of requirements, no registration or ridiculous qualifications. It was as simple as updating their systems to allow it. If only they would make other things in the country as effortless and simple. If only. Also, maybe the officials over in Luxembourg can kick some knowledge about how to do 100% free public transportation. But as a public transportation user, I'm going on record saying that this past summer 9-euro ticket experiment in Germany was an overall success. And I anxiously await to see what the next implementation will look like. Some trips I was unable to make because there were just too many train changes and over way too many hours of travel, up to 15 hours plus to get to North Germany from where I am in some cases. So I'm not holding my breath, as it might not happen, but hopefully, they can somehow add the ICE trains into the mix. Deutschland. Make that happen.